You can imprison a body, but you cannot imprison a cause. Throughout history, power has repeatedly made the same mistake, confusing physical control with moral victory. Rulers have imprisoned bodies, silenced voices, banned books, and outlawed ideas, only to discover, often too late, that causes do not reside in cells. They live in memory, conviction, and collective experience. This is the enduring truth behind the case of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. The continued detention of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has been presented by the Nigerian state as a solution. Yet years later, the questions he raised remain unanswered, the grievances he articulated persist, and the agitation he symbolizes has not disappeared. If anything, it has evolved, spreading beyond borders, entering global discourse, and attracting international recognition, such as the honorary citizenship granted by the U.S. state of Georgia. This reality forces a difficult but necessary reflection. What happens when a state imprisons its symbol instead of addressing a problem? The historical pattern of failed suppression. History is unforgiving to regimes that believe force can erase ideas. The Roman Empire crucified rebels but could not extinguish their beliefs. Colonial powers jailed independence leaders only to negotiate with them years later. Apartheid South Africa imprisoned Nelson Mandela for 27 years, yet emerged from prison to find him larger than the state that confined him. In each case, the same lesson emerged. Imprisonment magnifies meaning. When a person is detained not for private crimes but for political expression, they often transcend individuality and become symbols. The prison intended to silence them becomes a megaphone. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's detention has followed this same historical trajectory, from individual to symbol. Before his detention, Kanu was one among many voices advocating for Biafran self-determination. After his detention, he became the embodiment of a larger struggle, one that speaks to unresolved history, perceived marginalization, and the limits of Nigeria's federal experiment. Symbols are powerful because they simplify complex grievances into human form. Supporters do not merely speak of policy failures, they speak of a man they believe represents injustice. Critics may reject the symbolism, but they cannot undo it. Georgia's honorary citizenship reinforces this transformation. It acknowledges that Kanu's identity has expanded beyond personal biography into political symbolism with international resonance. Why causes outlive their messengers? Causes endure because they are rooted in collective experience. The Biafran question, the Igbo question, and the broader debate over Nigeria's structure did not begin with Kanu, and they will not end with him. Every attempt to suppress the cause without addressing its roots only deepens its legitimacy among those who feel unheard. This is why movements survive leadership decapitation. When the grievance is real, leadership becomes replaceable. This is not a threat, it is a sociological fact. States that succeed in managing dissent do so not by eliminating leaders, but by resolving the conditions that produce them. The illusion of stability. Detention often creates an illusion of stability. Streets may appear calmer, voices quieter, and protests fewer. But beneath that surface calm, unresolved grievances ferment. Nigeria's southeast may appear subdued at times, but beneath the silence lies deep mistrust of institutions, of promises, and of justice. That mistrust does not disappear because one man is behind bars. Georgia's recognition punctures the illusion of containment. It demonstrates that silence at home does not mean silence abroad. International recognition and moral memory. Honorary citizenship is not an legal instrument, it is a moral one. It inscribes a name into what can be called global moral memory, the collective record of individuals whose cases raise enduring questions about justice and rights. Once a name enters this space, it becomes difficult to erase. Governments may change narratives, but history remembers symbols. This is why the world still speaks of Mandela, Gandhi, and other figures long after their immediate struggles ended. Their causes outlived the circumstances that produced them. Georgia's action suggests that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's name is beginning to occupy this space. A message to the Nigerian state. This moment is not yet irreversible. History offers many examples where states corrected course before repression hardened into tragedy. Dialogue remains possible, reform remains possible, de-escalation remains possible, but these possibilities shrink with time. The longer a cause is suppressed rather than addressed, the more entrenched it becomes. What begins as a political disagreement risks becoming a generational identity. Nigeria must decide whether it wants to resolve grievances through conversation or manage them indefinitely through coercion. A message to supporters. For supporters of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, this moment also carries responsibility. Causes gain legitimacy not only through suffering, but through discipline, clarity, and moral consistency. History favors movements that maintain moral high ground, reject indiscriminate violence, pursue justice with patience and principle, and understand that symbolism must lead to solutions, not endless confrontation. The endurance of a cause depends on how it is carried forward. A message to Igbo leaders and elites. No cause sustains itself indefinitely without internal leadership. Silence from political, economic, and intellectual elites creates a vacuum that radicalism can fill. Georgia's recognition of Kanu should prompt deep introspection among Igbo leaders. Why are external voices louder than internal advocates? Why has dialogue been outsourced to strangers? Leadership delayed is leadership denied. The question history will ask. History rarely asks whether a state had the power to suppress a cause. It asks whether it had the wisdom not to try. Future generations will examine this period and ask, were grievances acknowledged or dismissed? Was dialogue attempted or avoided? Was unity built on consent or enforced through fear? They will not be satisfied with legal technicalities alone. They will look for moral clarity. Conclusion. The cause remains. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's body may be confined, but the cause he represents moves freely, across borders, across generations, and across conversations that cannot be controlled. Georgia's honorary citizenship is not the end of the story. It is evidence that the story has entered a wider arena. You can imprison a body, you can restrict movement, you can silence a microphone. But you cannot imprison a cause whose roots lie in unresolved history and lived experience. Nations that endure are those that listen before history speaks louder than they do. And history is already speaking. Stay tuned and see you on the next episode. But before you go, please help me say a word of prayer for our great leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, in the comment section.